Hello Matujima, and you're watching HornbillTV's newsroom. Nagaland has been ranked last in the 2024 Urban Governance Index (UGI), scoring only 19.57 out of 100, which highlights considerable challenges in its urban governance framework. Released jointly by Mumbai's Praja Foundation and the National Institute of Urban Affairs (NIUA), this report assesses cities and states across several urban governance parameters, exposing critical inefficiencies in Nagaland's civic administration. The highest ranking states include Kerala, with Odisha, Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh close behind, while Nagaland ranks near the bottom alongside Manipur and Meghalaya. The UGI evaluates governance across 4 core dimensions: empowered city elected representatives and legislative structures, empowered city administration, engaged citizens and fiscal empowerment. Each of these areas is assessed through 13 sub-themes, totaling 42 specific indicators. Nagaland's low scores across these categories indicate a significant lack of strong systems and effective empowerment in its urban governance. And to discuss about this matter, we have our associate editor Al Muli from the newsroom. Hello Al, can you hear me? Great. Okay, Al, getting to it, can you please tell us what specific factors led to Nagaland being ranked at the bottom of the Urban Governance Index in 2024? Can we just get straight to that?
Yeah, I was looking at a chart and then I was looking at the markings of the performance of Nagaland in this regard, and it reminded me of my mathematics marks when I was in school. 19 out of 100 for me is to get about 5 out of 100 in mathematics. So unfortunately for Nagaland, again we have another developmental indicator that has gone against us. So primarily the Urban Governance Index is to identify all the gaps within the local governance system, that is the municipal administration, for instance. That is one. So it studies some of the provisions that the municipal authorities or the local governance authorities to be able to use them for developmental purposes. The legislative tools that have been given to them in regard to framing local laws that are not for the state, but those are for the regulation of the local areas. So these are some of the functions that they are supposed to have, but which unfortunately, according to the indices, have not given to them. So the whole idea of the Urban Governance Index is to identify some of the gaps, and based on these gaps, the study says that the state government is not performing that well through its local governance authorities. So it's basically to understand the loopholes, the failure of the provisions or the lack of them when governing the local areas are to.
Right, also can you elaborate on how Nagaland's municipal acts, particularly the 2023 Act, falls short in empowering city governments then? And also, if I'm not mistaken, they have also mentioned about that also in the index, the how is lacking behind, and how we're falling short. So can you please elaborate on that as well?
Yeah, there is no difference between the Nagaland Municipal Act 2001 and the Municipal Act of 2023. So the only changes that were made in the 2023 edition of the Act was that there was changes in the quota system for women. And I think we have seen a lot of trouble because of women reservation, and for which, because of those changes, we could even hold the municipal elections this year. Anyhow, so the provisions in the 2001 Municipal Act and those of the 2023 editions are practically the same. I think it's the wording, because in the light of the Urban Governance Index that was released, it mentioned a lot of regulatory frameworks that were missing for the municipal authorities or the local governance authorities, for them to be able to use it to make decisions for the community, especially when it comes to developmental work. But if you look at the 2001 Municipal Act, then there is nothing there, like specifically giving functions, a specialized function to the local authorities. And even in the 2023 edition of the Municipal Act, there is no specialized powers, especially autonomous local decision-making powers that have been given to the local leaderships. So, like I said before, the changes that were made in the 2023 edition was basically in the form of the reservation that was given to women and their stature within the establishment. But there has nothing been made for the local authorities for them to act and take decisions based on the community they represent, because they are the only ones that can effectively express the intent, the intentions, the visions, and the statement for and the movement forward in regard to the development or growth of their local areas here. So there are no specific, except for general wordings, of course, general directives in regard to who should lead the area and in what form of representation they are to stand for the community. But there is nothing in the sense of local autonomy and exclusive specialized powers for this leadership to exercise for the community. So that is the difference. Both of them lack what the urban governance index has pointed out, the loopholes, the gaps, the anomalies within the system.
Great. So like, moving on, what are the consequences of mayors not having the authority to appoint chairpersons of standing committees in Nagaland, and how does it play a part here?
A lot. The fact that our local leadership, especially at the governance level, who are representatives of the government representing us at the ground, at the grassroots, the impact is a lot. I remember back then in Dimapur when we were residing there, some of the guys in that local administration, the town committee area, I think, they decided to build a culvert. So there was a big fight that broke out actually, because what the communities wanted was that they wanted drains around a certain portion of a locality there. But the municipal local representatives, they said that, not the elected ones, it was before the town elections, they wanted a culvert instead. So they said, we need drains, we don't need culverts. Why would you build a single culvert when we need drains for it to transfer the water away from our residential areas somewhere else? And they said, this is the only developmental work that the government gave us. We don't have anything, we don't have any provisions for drains here. So the culvert was what was given to us, and the funds were meant only for that. So this is what we're talking about. When the local administration, the local representatives of the community are not given the right to take decisions, then it is going to hamper the movement of the community forward, because these representatives are the only ones that understands, that needs, and they can explain the demands of that community, what they need. So if they don't have those functions, those powers to be able to be making developmental decisions and to impact the community positively, then there is only one entity that will be representing the Matu, and that's the government. The government will not be there in your colony sitting whether you need drains or whether you'll need roads. They don't know if you have power in your house. You don't know what you're suffering from, what you need, what kind of infrastructure and amenities that your colony or your village needs. They don't know. They're just sitting there, which is not a bad thing, of course, as long as they're taking proper decisions and sending adequate funds to be able to develop your community, which is not a bad thing, but they're sitting there. But it is only your town committee council member or your MLA or your municipal member representing your colony who understands what you need, because he lives there, he lives with you, he knows if there is power in your area or not, he knows that your area is flooded constantly, so he knows you need drains, you need culverts here and there. So they don't have this function to take decision. They don't have that autonomy for them to be able to visualize a vision statement for the community. They don't have the legislative tools for them to frame rules, and not just rules, but rules that is applicable to you. Your colony's need or your village's need is different from the need of your neighboring colony. It is different. So that is why we have different municipal representatives to speak on your behalf, judging from the need that you see, because they are part of that problem that you're facing. They also face the same thing. So the impact is a lot. So if they are going to expect some kind of changes in the community and its developmental character, then I believe that the government of Nagaland must have to certainly amend the Nagaland Municipal Act 2023, walk away from the 2001 Municipal Act and bring in new elements of administration that will empower the local authorities representing your community, the council or the locality, for them to make decisions that will justify what you need, and not based on the thoughts of the government up there.
Right. And that would be the need of the hour, but also what role does regular training for councillors play in urban governance, and how has its absence impacted Nagaland's governance performance?
Could you repeat that question?
Okay, so can you tell me what role does regular training for councillors play in urban governance, and how has its absence impacted Nagaland's governance and performance?
I think one of the most urgent needs for any kind of leadership for the people of Nagaland is leadership training. Anywhere. It's not just the government, it's not just the ministers and the MLAs, not just the DCs and the municipal establishment, and the police also. On a lighter side, at the microscopic level, I'll tell you, once I went down to the Dimapur police station once to inquire about something that I was writing about. And I remember I think it was during 2019, 2019 or 2020, somewhere in the region. So I went to inquire with a police station at East Dimapur, and I went in and introduced myself to that police officer, okay? And that police officer, I wouldn't state his name, he just looked at me and then he was like, Kigurle, he didn't even say, I introduced myself, hey, hello, I'm Alnguli, I'm from this and that newspaper, I'm here to, but he just said, Kigurle, just Kigurle, And I was like, is this the kind of officers do we need? Is this the kind of police? Is this the kind of ministers? And there are a lot of MLAs and ministers who don't even know how to talk to people. That, there is this chapri angles here and there. We don't know how to talk to people. So these are some of the aspects of leadership training that I think, I'm not saying everyone is like that. Right. There are a lot of well-spoken people out there, but generally, everywhere, not only in the government, but even in our communities, our GBs, our DCs, and even in the media also, our leadership, we need to learn a little bit about how to communicate, right, how to express ideas, how to lead. What are the things we need to say? What should we say? How should we say it? And how do we measure the pulse of the community if you're a leader? How do you approach these issues, problems? So way back the mid 2000s, I think YouthNet was, I think they were the first persons to come up with the idea of leadership training for leaders in the government, if I am not mistaken. And they had also hosted a program to instruct young professionals in leadership skills. So we have nice class, we have nice buildings, we have this Western, modern, forward-looking outlook, but a little bit of here is a little bit, it has that chapri thing. We're a bit rough on that side. So training our municipal leaderships will ensure that they are able to not just measure and examine and make informed decisions for the community, but they are also able to, if they are trained, communicate this need to the government and decision makers accurately. So training is very much important for our new municipal leaders, because it's one thing to be able to go up on stage and act like a leader. It's quite a different thing for you to be able to connect intimately with the community that you represent. So if there is no leadership qualities that we nurture, it means that there will be no value that we are going to create.
So, lastly, how does the current remuneration for councillors in Nagaland compare to other states, and how could increasing it improve urban governance then?
Yeah, Sir Edward and I, we were in Kohima earlier, right? We went to meet the municipal authorities, and we were sitting down there with the municipal officers, big government officers, and I wouldn't mention their names, but it was a revelation for us, It was before the elections took place, and this government official, I think it was, he was from the Municipal Affairs Department, and he said, I don't know why our Naga people are so excited about wanting to be a municipal leader, to contest, and they have big dreams. Salary bhi nahi, office tak table ekta bhi nahi, tai kan ki kuru na jane. Only once they get elected, they are going to realize there is nothing there in the municipal establishment, no funds, no salary. And if there is any revenue that your ward generates, it's only because that you were really clever and you knew the industry enough for you to be able to devise some kind of a revenue system for you to generate revenue for your community, and from that bring in some kind of an economic value to yourself and even to your community. But no, there's nothing like that, no funds, no salary. So this is going to impact the performance of our municipal members, as simple as that, because there is no reward in that sense. There's no reward, there's no asset system for them to build on or to have. So I think the level of motivation will be much lower than those who are paid or who are getting something out of the revenue system, because I don't think anybody would like to work for free in this regard. So their remunerations, salary which is non-existent, they wouldn't get anything, is going to definitely impact their performance in that regard, I think.
Okay, I think that's about all for today. Thank you so much for your details. Thank you so much for all the information. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Right, that was our Associate Editor El Nguli from the newsroom. As we have discussed, Nagaland has ranked the lowest when it comes to urban governance index, and there Kerala has, with a score of 19.57 out of 100, and Kerala has topped the list. We have discussed about how the index works and also what could have led to such a low ranking for Nagaland. I think that's about all for today's newsroom. Thank you so much for watching Hornbill TV.